Today's topic, we're going to be chatting about macOS while you watch me fail at Counter-Strike Surf. So we're going to be talking about macOS and why its current, like the absolute state of macOS. We're going to talk about the absolute state of macOS, all right, and why it kind of makes me sad. So to give you some background, macOS is actually a very sort of important operating system to me. Back in, I want to say, mid to late 2012. Actually, before that. So when I was like 9 years old, I wanted to make a mod for Minecraft. So I tried learning Java to make a mod for Minecraft. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't a like developer prodigy like this guy. I wasn't dreaming in code just yet. Now these days, sometimes I dream in code, but definitely not back then. Definitely not back then. But I was that was kind of my entry point into technology, right? Like I wanted to make mods for Minecraft, so I tried to teach myself Java, and even though it didn't work out, it kind of like planted the seed. The thing that really was like the catalyst for me with computers and technology was the Hackintosh scene. So if you guys aren't familiar with the Hackintosh scene, it's where you try to run the Mac operating system on like a standard Intel or even sometimes AMD based Windows PC. And I remember like in 2012 or something, I was at the Apple store and I'd used one of the Macs there. I think they were running it was Mountain Lion at the time, was the release that was new off the presses. And I remember going home and I googled, like, as a joke, run macOS on a PC, and it actually came up with some results. And I'm like, oh, this isn't actually a joke, this is actually something people can do. So that's when I really sort of like got into computers and technology, was like the Hackintosh scene. Now, I was super into it. To give you an idea of how into it I was, I had like like Insanely Mac was bookmarked. Alarala, I was downloading their bootable ISOs. Tony Mac x86, I was banned. I got IP banned from Tony Mac x86 because as an 11-year-old, I made multiple accounts on that website, and that was like a terms of service violation. So it was actually IP banned from Tony Mac x86. But yeah, no, I was super into it. So I wasn't like I wasn't anything crazy. Like I wasn't writing drivers or anything. Like I said, I failed at making Minecraft mods in Java, but I was a pretty advanced 10-year-old when it came to like using Mac OS. Like I was it was OS 10 back then. I was like, loading kernel extensions, messing around with the bootloader. I was actually like, my quote unquote dev work I do was like writing themes, like making themes for Clover and Chameleon, the two bootloaders that were big at the time. These days I think they use like OpenCore or something, but I haven't followed it in a while, because Hackintosh is about to die, obviously, because they're not going to make Intel Macs anymore. But that's a topic for another day, maybe. But anyway, macOS is a pretty important operating system to me, and I know a lot about its history. I know a lot about how it like sort of works under the hood. And I really have the Hackintosh scene to thank for kind of like fully getting me into computers and technology. So that's why, like, when I look at what macOS is like now, like I haven't run a Hackintosh in years, and there's good reasons for that, apart from the fact that it's dying. Like, I just don't even think macOS is that good of an operating system anymore for someone like me, and I'll explain why. So I'll flash some images up on the screen to show what I mean. Back in the day, macOS was kind of marketed as a Unix, like a professional Unix operating system for like power users, but with a super nice interface. And that's what it was. Like, if you look at this advertisement, I think it's like advertising macOS Panther or something, but it was like sends other Unix boxes to dev/null. And I look at that and I'm like, damn, like that's the kind of operating system I want to use, right? Like something that's like designed for power users, but has a slick interface so that you don't have to worry. Because if, like, at the time, it really was like one of the premier user interfaces. Like Aqua is really good in my opinion. But then again, like, because it was so pivotal to me when I was younger, maybe I've got like rose-tinted glasses, but to me back in the day, like Aqua was a really nice user interface. But anyway, like, stuff started to change over the years. Like, I got my start in Hackintoshing. I made with Mountain Lion, and obviously I played around. If you're familiar with the Hackintosh scene, you know that you kind of start with Snow Leopard. If you were back around those days, like the pipeline would be you buy the Snow Leopard install disk from Apple, yeah, and they'd send you the install disk. They'd mail it to you. I've still got mine somewhere around here. You'd install Snow Leopard on your Hackintosh, and then you would use the Mac App Store to buy a copy of Mountain Lion, and then because it shipped as like a .app installer and not a DVD. Like Snow Leopard was the last one they shipped physical DVDs for. So you'd install Snow Leopard from the DVD, and then you would like you'd use like you'd make a USB with Unibeast or whatever tool you wanted to use for Mountain Lion. Sorry, I forgot what I was going to talk about for a second. There we go. I was going to talk about like macOS versions. So yeah, I got my start with Mountain Lion and Snow Leopard. That's kind of what I was like used to in terms of this whole, like UNIX for Professionals OS. And back then, it seemed to me that was really still the philosophy. Like, it was an operating system that had such a good user interface that you could use it properly without ever having to worry about any of the advanced tools. But the advanced Unix tools were there if you ever needed to use them. That's how it felt to me, as an operating system. And I love that. That was fantastic, man. That was one of the best operating system experiences I'd ever had. I'd choose that over like Windows of the day was Windows 7. That was a great operating system too, but man, I'd choose like Mac OS 10 Mountain Lion or Mavericks over that any day of the week. Like that really sort of fit a good niche for me, because I was like 10. I wasn't really going to be good at learning Linux, but you had this operating system that had a nice enough interface that you could get away with a whole lot while you were learning the Unix utilities. And I thought that was a really nice mix for like someone interested in tech to have back in the day. So these days, and it all started going downhill. My hot take, I never liked flat design, the design concept. I was always more of a skeuomorphic guy, and you can call that nostalgia all you want. I probably admit there's some nostalgia going on as well, but with Yosemite and iOS 7, they like changed it to be flat design, and I thought that in my head was like the first sort of like alarm bells almost. Like, they're gonna dumb this operating system down. That's what I'm getting at. Like, they were gonna dumb the operating system down. It was not gonna stay as like the sort of, built for hackers, but easy enough to use that you can just do your work under the hood and get and not have to worry about the interface messing up on you. That was going away. And Yosemite, which is the one that introduced that change, it was a fine operating system. It was still fine. But then after that is when they started really like pissing me off, basically. I'll show you a screenshot on screen of they had disk utility, which is their like partitioning utility, and they neutered it. They gimped it. It was wild, like what they did to disk utility. I remember looking at it, and I was mad because I use disk utility all the time for stuff like creating install USBs, restore, like creating images of my Snow Leopard DVD, for instance. Like showing the EFI partition on my machine. They neutered the functionality of disk utility to a point where it was like not recognizable at all. And you just think like, why? Like, why would you do that? You had a perfectly good utility that wasn't even that hard to use. It was like a nice balance between functionality and like a good interface, and you just completely ruined it. So that was the first thing that kind of pissed me off. And I was like, okay, so you've dumbed down the UI elements, and now you're starting to dumb down the administrator utilities. I can kind of see, like, you can kind of complete the dots to see where it's going, right? And then it got a whole lot worse, especially for the Hackintosh scene. Like, it used to be pretty chill to load your own kexts and inject them at boot time and stuff, and then they started adding like system integrity protection so that you had to, like, I remember Clover and Clover gets a lot of flack from OpenCore these days. They had some hacky method of like disabling system integrity protection at boot time, and then injecting their kexts and then re-enabling system integrity protection after their kexts were injected. And yeah, OpenCore does it a different way. I don't know exactly how, but I was reading forums and people were like shitting on Clover for doing it the kind of like hacky way. But it's like, dude, if they didn't do that, your project is like coming after them. Why are you shitting on this project? They had a method of doing things. Sure, it's different to yours, and sure, it's unoptimal, but like they did it first. So if you want to be the dude back in like 2016, 2017, who's like actually making a usable product with like getting around system integrity protection, be my guest, bro. Go back in time and do that. You didn't do that. Anyway, my thoughts on like the Hackintosh scene in general and what people are so tribalistic. Like there seems to be like a, and this didn't really happen back in the day. It was like a, if you don't use the exact stack that I'm using, then you're wrong, and I'm gonna shit on you. Like I see people, like Clover was a top tier bootloader for the longest time, and these days people, because like OpenCore is like the one that everyone uses, right? People are like, oh, if you use Clover, what the fuck are you doing? You're a fucking idiot. Why are you using Clover, dude? Use OpenCore. It's like Clover's so bad. It's like, dude, you were probably using Clover like 5 months ago before OpenCore was released. Can you chill? Can you chill? Like, just because you're not using something anymore doesn't mean you have to shit all over it. But anyway. Yeah, so like system integrity protection was a thing. They introduced they made Gatekeeper. I remember High Sierra, they made Gatekeeper so annoying. You used to be able to go into system settings, right, and select allow apps from any developer. They changed it so that they got rid of that option. So you had to go to Gatekeeper every single time in the system settings and hit allow. And if you're in the Hackintosh scene at all, that's a massive pain because pretty much all of your programs and utilities are made by unidentified developers. There's no way Apple is going to be certifying a Hackintosh dev. It was crazy. It was just so annoying. And you could disable that with a terminal command. But the thing is, like I said before, it used to be, it's more or less of you can still do it, so it's not a problem. It's it's the vibe that I'm getting as a power user, as a developer from this company, that I'm not really welcome to use their operating system anymore. Things like that. I'm just not welcome. It's just not for me anymore. It's for it's for Becky, who wants to go to Starbucks and sip her latte and write some stuff in her Word document for her business degree at uni. It's not for me. It's for Becky. That's the kind of vibe that I got where macOS was kind of going. And sorry, just had to make a cut there because my lights changed. They're on a automatic timer. It's telling me I should go to bed, but oh well, here we are. So yeah, that's the vibe I kind of got, was you're not really welcome to use this operating system anymore in the same way that you've been using it. And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It's you're taking all of these steps throughout the years, and if you look back, each of these small changes is not necessarily egregious. Sure, you can neuter disk utility if you want. I can still do most of the ops through terminal. Sure, you can disable Gatekeeper. I can just go into terminal and turn that feature off. It's more or less the overall vibe over the years that macOS has been in development, where it's kind of we're just going to go ahead and dumb this operating system down, and yeah, you're just not really the target audience anymore. That's the vibe I got, and that's why I haven't used macOS in a very long time, on my personal devices. I got a MacBook for work. Work gave me a MacBook, and I'm using that a little bit, and it's not too bad. I'd still take it over Windows 11. I really don't like Windows 11, but just because you can still use the BSD Unix utilities if you open up terminal, so it's not awful. It's just, for a personal operating system that I was using, it's just not it, man. It's just not it, and it really makes me sad because I remember I was there. I remember what it was, and it used to be so good. Honestly, Okay, I was gonna say like if OS 10 Mavericks, for instance, was still supported today, I'd still be using it, but I've gotten so used to like all my custom scripts and utilities and things in my environment on Linux. I don't know if I can really say that, but what I can say is that it would have been a strong contender for my personal OS, like OS 10 Mavericks, if it was still like able to be used today, in any kind of like supported fashion, like security updates, obviously, and application updates. You're not really going to be able to use. That's the problem with old OSs. Like, I know there are people still using like Windows 7 and Vista, and I respect the hell out of that. That's I respect it. Listen, I respect it, but the fact of the matter is that application support for that is always going to be a struggle. But that's just the nature of old operating systems. You kind of gotta move on sometimes, like, like that was a period of time a long time ago, and it's different now. But yeah, like, that's probably all I really want to say. Like, macOS, it really makes me sad because I remember what it used to be, and it used to be so much better than what it is now. Like, for power users, like I said, I might even still consider using it today if Apple just hadn't routinely with every release been like, okay, we're gonna strip away more and more. Like, I don't even think they use Unix in their marketing anymore. Like, I think it's just gone. And to be fair, like, their main client base is not me. It's not me. But that doesn't mean that you can't also like accommodate me as well, Like, you just keep things as they were before. Like, the interface is good enough where someone can use it without worrying about all that stuff, but I can still do that stuff easily, like, if I want to. But instead, it's got the vibe of like, no, like, we're just going to remove that, and we don't really care if you think that's annoying for your use case. We're just going to go ahead and dumb it down for no good reason. Like, literally, I can't think of any good reason they would choose to do things like, okay, maybe if you're marketing, okay, like going into the settings, okay, and removing allow from any developer. I get it if you want to like remove viruses or whatever. That's all I can think of. If you want to like make it so that people don't even get the choice in saying, I trust myself to not download sketchy programs from the internet. Like, if you think about it, that's what they're saying. They're saying, like, we don't trust you to not download sketchy programs from the internet after you have to make the decision to go into settings and say, I trust myself. You can't even do that anymore. It's ridiculous. And, like, the UI changes and stuff, like, sure, I actually had the UI from Yosemite grow on me a little bit. But now they changed it again, and they literally made it iOS. Like, all the applications are like little boxes, and it's very unappealing. I think the design is very unappealing, and it's very like, again, it's the theme of like dumbing this operating system down. They used to market it as like the world's most advanced operating system. That's literally like on my Snow Leopard disc. It says like the world's most advanced operating system, the next release of the world's most advanced operating system or something. I don't feel like it's the case anymore. And it's really such a shame, because like, really, Aqua used to be the best user interface on top of a nice Unix system. And it was such a good mix. I absolutely loved it, like, as a kid. And even, I go back and use, like, I've messed around with some of these operating systems in VMs and stuff now, and I'm like, damn. For the time, like, compared to the other stuff at the time, like, think of it like this. This was going up against stuff like Windows 8, which, to be fair, my hot take is I don't actually mind Windows 8. I kind of liked it, but 8.1 anyway, when they brought back the start bar, like, you put classic shell on that. It was actually, I actually think that was a pretty good operating system, but like, you compare OS 10 Mavericks to, Windows 8.1, there's no competition in my opinion for what the better power user system is, and even going forward from that, until I don't even think Windows 10 is a very good power user operating system. Like, that's the reason I switched to Linux, was because Windows 7 support was going out of date. Like, after macOS went to shit, I swapped it back over to Windows 7, And then when support for that ended in like 2019, I was like, well, like it was going to end in 2020. So in 2019, I was like, okay, I better switch to Linux full time. And look, here we are now. And I can't say with certainty that I would swap back to like macOS. Like I said, you know, even if Mavericks or Yosemite or like El Capitan was still supported today, I don't know if I'd swap back, but it's definitely like a possibility. And it's definitely something that I remember is like, this is a significant change in how like the general consensus about the operating system. And back then, like it was so much harder to install a Hackintosh. Like these days you have like all this easy stuff. You get like people that don't even know how to use computers hitting you up like, oh, how do you make a Hackintosh, bro? Can you install a Hackintosh for me? I use Final Cut Pro or something like that. I had like, you know, I've set up Hackintoshes for like tech illiterate friends or like help them through the install process, and it's all automated these days. Like you don't even really have to do anything. Like that wasn't the case back then. So the whole vibe of the Hackintosh community's changed. Like you've got a whole lot of people that don't really know that much about computers that are kind of like clogging up the forums and things, and it's like just the whole thing is like, there's a point where I was like, okay, the heyday of this thing is done. And even now, like especially with Intel Macs going out, there's just no coming back. There's no coming back. It's over. It's over for Hackintoshes, and the community's known that for a while. Like even back in 2018, before that, I think there were rumors. Like I remember seeing on Insanely Mac, the head mod there, Phantomus, posted some news about like, you know, Apple rumored to be making desktop ARM chips like in 2017 or something. I think it's still like pinned on the news section of Insanely Mac, but it was like we kind of knew for a while that it was over. And certainly the in my opinion, like the heyday almost of Hackintosh, like in my opinion, macOS kind of died with after High Sierra. That's when they really started messing with stuff. And yeah, not a great time for people wanting to use it as a professional operating system. But I still use it. Listen, I still use the latest one for work. It's not awful. It's like passable as an OS, but it's definitely not something I daily like. I dailied Mavericks and Mountain Lion and Snow Leopard for a very long time. Those were fantastic operating systems, and even like Yosemite's interface changes grew on me. So I was dailying El Capitan and High Sierra for a bit, and then after that I was just like, no, this like it's just done. I'm just not welcome here anymore. So yeah, macOS, like the absolute state of macOS just makes me sad, because I was like, I've been into this operating system for such a long time, and I know, like, I've seen how it's changed over the years, how it's been like dumbed down, and it's just so sad. Because yeah, like even you just look at their marketing, it's completely different now. It's just kind of sad, man. And especially for me, like it's a very personally important operating system for me. Like it catapulted my interest in computers, and so it's doubly sad. You know, it's sad enough that we had a great product for power users like you and me go downhill so much. It's just, and it's doubly sad because it was a pivotal thing for me and my interest in technology. So it is what it is. That's pretty much like this video, like I say, was a bit off the cuff. No script, no notes, just brain dump really. I'll see how this sort of style of video goes. I won't be making this style of video all the time, but I definitely do kind of enjoy filming these ones a little bit more, because it's more like you and me having an actual chat. You know, there's no like notes, there's no script. It's just kind of, we're having like a conversation. And there's a couple of cuts here and there just because I completely forgot what I was going to talk about. But that's in the nature of this style of video, you know. So I'll see how it goes, and if you guys like it, I might make some more. But definitely expect some quality content coming soon. But yeah, cheers for watching. Catch you around.